Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a new unit that we're looking at here in AP Gov. If you're looking at the AP Central, the College Board's website, this will correspond with their Unit 5. It, of course, is not our Unit 5, but this is the place to go to. If you go to their website, it's going to be under Unit 5, Political Participation. So what we're going to look at in this unit is voting, parties, interest groups, elections, and the media. And it's going to be a relatively quick unit. We got to get through this. We're coming up on the AP exam. The fortunate thing about this that you guys have going for you is we've already talked about ideologies. So in a previous unit, we looked at liberal versus conservative. So a lot of this is going to seem familiar to you, and I think it's going to help you guys get through this unscathed, if it will. So the first thing that we need to take a look at, and just in this introductory short little video that we're going to look at today, we're going to look at voting. Who votes, who's eligible to vote, and if we look at the voting age population, or everyone over the age of 18 in the United States, those are the people that could possibly vote. But you always have to remember, there are certain people that cannot vote. Felons cannot vote, resident aliens cannot vote, and illegal immigrants cannot vote. So what you're left with after excluding those groups would be the citizen age population, 18 and over. So who is 18 over and a citizen? What are these numbers? If we look at the voting age population, we're looking at about 257 million people. By the time you eliminate these groups, we're down to 239 million. In the last election, in the 2020 presidential election, 158 million people voted. And while that might seem like a low number, if 239 million people are eligible, only 158 voted, guys, that broke the record. There's never been a time in American history where that many people voted. So we did break the record in this last election, very controversial, but it is encouraging. And that's something about democracy. When we think about this, we want to get this number as close to 239 as we can. In a healthy democracy, you do want everybody to vote. So these are issues that are ongoing. How do we get this number up? Do we worry about these people over here? And you're going to hear a lot of back and forth. Depending upon which media outlet you watch, which, by the way, we'll get to media at the end of this unit. So we'll take all that into consideration. So who is it that votes, and who is it that wants to vote? One of the key terms that you have to understand is this idea of efficacy. And efficacy is this feeling that what you do matters. And when you take an action, you think that action is meaningful. And so what we're looking at here is what you do has an effect on the outcome. So people with a high degree of efficacy are, they're going to be the ones that go out and vote. They're going to be the ones that drive people to vote. They're going to be the ones that go knocking on doors, putting signs in their yards. So that's the thing that we're looking for. And who are those people in the United States? Well, if you look at it by voting age, what we see here, by voting age population, by race and ethnicity. So we're going to look at all of these demographics. So if we look at ethnicity first, if you look at the voter turnout, non-Hispanic white, highest voter turnout until you get to roughly 2000, 2004, then you saw the non-Hispanic black vote creep up. This has a lot to do with President Obama. Increase the black vote. 2012, 2016, you start to see the white vote creep back up. The Hispanic vote has always been traditionally low. So how does that impact on who wins elections? That's going to matter. If we look at it by age, obviously 60 plus vote the most. Age 45 to 59 second. So basically what we're seeing here is that young people don't vote. And I know I'm talking to mostly high school students here. The idea that if you want to have an impact, or if you want to change what our government does, you have to turn out and vote, because if they know young people are voting, they have to pay attention to you. So that's why we encourage young people to get out. But if I'm a politician and I know young people aren't turning out, why would I pay attention to their issues? So that is something that I would encourage all of you guys to do. Level of education is something else that we look at. And obviously, we're looking here post-grads, some college degree, college graduate, and then down to your high school dropouts. And again, politicians know who to target. They know people with higher education are going to vote more. They pay attention more. And that's who they're going to target. So, the trends that we see, and this is something I think that worries some. You hear a lot of rhetoric lately dealing with race and ethnicity and all of these things. And you do hear some people, worried about the voter turnout. And what we've seen over, the last several years, going back to the 1980s, is the non-Hispanic white share is going down. So I do feel like the rhetoric coming out of some politicians in Washington is this idea that, the country is changing, and it is changing. The share of the white vote is decreasing, and that alarms some people, especially here in the Midwest. So you're going to hear that rhetoric on both sides, how, some people that absolutely do not care, some people that care a great deal. So we'll take a look at these numbers a little bit later as we go through this. So the things that protect the rights of people to vote. And we go back historically because it hasn't always been where everybody over the age of 18 can vote. So if we go back, initially kind of the first big change was the 15th Amendment. It's one of the Civil War amendments that allowed blacks to vote. That was huge. Now, it wasn't always, the fact that, after 1874, whenever this went into place, that all blacks were, just eligible to vote, and they just walked up and voted. So many barriers that they still had to overcome. Jim Crow laws. In the 1960s, they passed the Voting Rights Act, and in Congress just recently, they passed another attempt to protect the rights of people of color, not to be discriminated against when it comes to voting. So it's been a long road. We're still not quite there yet based on race. The 19th Amendment, of course, in 1920 was passed, allowed women the right to vote. The 24th Amendment to the Constitution eliminated the poll tax. Now, a poll tax is basically they would charge people money to vote. So you would have to pay a tax. This was very discriminatory against the poor. And if you think about where these taxes were implemented, mostly in the South, so you're looking at poor blacks. So again, another hurdle that people of color had to overcome. And so what this did is, it eliminated this idea that if I have to pay to vote or pay to feed my family, I'm going to feed my family. So the 24th Amendment eliminated the poll tax. And then the last one to go into effect is the 26th Amendment, and that lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. Now, this one, happens, during the Vietnam era, 1960s, 1970s, you had a lot of young men especially saying, if you are going to draft us into the military and send us to fight in a land that we're not familiar with, we should at least be, part of the people that vote for these people that are making that decision. So, and they made a good point. So it went from 21 to 18. With the 26th Amendment. So these are some of the things that are protected in this country. Who knows what the next one might be? But remember these amendments as we go through this. Now, how do people decide to vote? And there's four different things that we're going to talk about as far as models of voting behavior. You go into the voting booth, you're like, hey, who is it I'm going to vote for? I'm going to vote for this guy, I'm going to vote for that guy. And what helps me make that decision? Well, one of the models that we look at is this thing called retrospective voting. And retrospective voting is when you go in there and you look at what these people have already done, right? You're looking at, retroactively, have you done a good job in office? Has your party traditionally done things that are going to benefit me? Have they done that in the past? That's retrospective voting. I love this sign. You can't fix stupid, but you can vote them out. So remember that as you guys come of age of voting. So that's retrospective. The opposite end of that would be prospective voting. So prospective voting is you're looking at what is it they're telling me they're going to do. What is it, in the platform of the parties or, the ideas of the politician. What are they saying they're going to do for me? And you make your decision based on that. That's prospective voting. We also have rational choice. And this is where, you're looking at, what the politician says they're going to do. Is it going to benefit me or is it not going to benefit me? And this is where we get into a little bit of, sometimes people don't always vote the rational choice because they will vote against their self-interest because of the fourth thing, and that is party line. So sometimes people will vote because they think they should vote for a party when in actuality that party doesn't really reflect their interest. And so these are the four ideas as we go into this idea of voting. Now this party line we've seen probably more recently than at any time else in our history of people making the decision on how to vote based on political party. And it is no secret, you guys know my viewpoint on this, with the advent of 24-hour news. right? People get locked into their channel, and that is the only channel that they listen to, and they're not going to listen to anything else. And unfortunately, and that's my opinion, but unfortunately, I think I wish we could get away with this. I wish people would step back and look at what is it that they're actually doing for me, and I think we'd get some different turnout. So, or at least people would make different choices as to how they vote. Look at it yourself. Don't listen to other people. Investigate yourself, as opposed to just towing the line. So, and that's for both sides of you guys. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do after this little intro, the first big topic is going to be these linkage institutions. And the first one will be parties. So we're going to look at in this unit political parties. And based what do they stand for? What is a Democrat? What is a Republican? Fortunately, we already have the basis for this with conservative and liberal. Then we're going to take a look at interest group, that third leg of the iron triangle, and look and see the impact that they have. We're going to look at elections, how are elections conducted in this country, and then finally we're going to take a look at mass media. So buckle up for this one. We're going to go through this stuff really fast. Next time you see me, we're going to be getting into parties. Hopefully this at least piques your interest into this stuff, and here we go. All right, I'll see you guys next time.